intro. Check out the main channel. A video is releasing in DMC Devil May Cry's anniversary. Be there. Also, join the Discord to find more like-minded people. Anyway, hello, ladies and gamers. How are we doing? Do you guys remember Southpaw's video on Terriers? Yeah, the one that's like 6 hours long. It's okay, Southpaw. Nice try. Try again. I wanted to take some time out of your day to go over it. I will be covering the show itself, EFAP's points, and Southpaw's video. I want to make a quick disclaimer. This video is about Terriers. This includes EFAP's take on it, and then Southpaw's videos responding to it. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, I know there are some kind of drama between SK and Southpaw at the moment, but this video will not address it. Or maybe it will. You'll have to watch the full video to find out. Part 0. Who are these guys? Now, after watching the video, I realized that some of you might be confused. So this section is for the people who don't know any of the people that I'm talking about. If you know what EFAP is and Southpaw and SK, you can freely skip this part. Okay, let's go through this quickly. EFAP is a podcast/show that has been around since 2017. They cover movies, TV shows, and games. The idea behind some of the criticisms is that there is such a thing as an objectively good and objectively bad. We won't get into the stupidity of that train of thought now. A while later, Southpaw came out with a video on Spider-Man 2, basically using the same criticism that EFAP was using to show it was a very flawed movie. Southpaw then was later sent into stardom in a video that he has problems with looking back now, so make of that what you will. SK got his claim to fame later with a terrible video on Spider-Verse, but using that as a jumping off point to make his name known. SK and Southpaw would later become good friends. Southpaw then had a fallout with EFAP in which SK backed him up as much as he could. That kind of loyalty is hard to find. Anyway, back to the video as planned. Part 1, go watch Terriers. So before I heard about Terriers, I've never really cared to watch it. I've heard it was good, quite good, but yet again, I didn't really bring myself to it to give it a chance. However, when Southpaw's video was released, I couldn't bring myself to watch a video that defends a show I didn't watch, so I caved in. So I watched the Sacred Cow Slaughterhouse favorite show, and yeah, it was amazing. Funny how a show with one season can make such an impact on you. The show is about two unlicensed PIs who discover a plot that threatens the city. The show has more episodic episodes with bigger arching plot that is brought in at certain times in the show. The show really bounces between the two. Sometimes you get a kid with amnesia, sometimes you get a trans hooker. What the fuck? I do think that the balance of the show is worth binging, which is hard to pull off. Just in general, I think the characters are pretty great. Hank, Brett, and Katie all have their moments making them worth investing in. In all honesty, I think the main reason why this show works so well is the morally great elements of the characters. Brett has a background in stealing professionally, and Hank used to be a cop before drinking heavily ruined his career. It also has cameos from Cameron from Jedi Fallen Order. What the I could go on and on about the show, but I think I'll save that for another time if any of you are interested. But now it's time to move on to the reason you're all here. Well, kind of. Part 2, EFAP, Stinky Poo-Poo. Now to get to the real stuff. Southpaw introduced this show to Muller and Fringy, but instead of them enjoying it, they quite disliked the show, making many points against it, one of them being related to the border. In one of the episodes, Hank and Matt have to go across the Mexican border to save Britt from the cartel. Hank and Matt sneak Britt into the trunk of their car and then drive back to America. Britt gets home fine while everything's okay. With all that context, you know what's coming. Fringy brought up the point that the border security should have searched the car. If they'd done this, Britt would have been spotted. So, this is where the intro comes from. The, no one checked the car at the border. Okay guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. Now, what I may say next, don't make fun of me for it, okay? I honest to God thought this was an El Camino reference. You know that part where Jesse's trying to escape from the cops and then tells Skinny Pete to leave the car at the border?
Leave it near the border. Hide it, kinda, but yo, don't hide it so good the cops can't find it.
Anyway, back to the stupid Fringy point. Not everyone is going to check the car at the border. If they did that, it would take even longer for the wait time to get in between the US and Mexico. Time is money for them. And if they did this every day, both countries would lose millions. Besides, we see stories like this all the time. It's certainly not impossible. The next one I want to talk about is a bit more personal to me. One of the things that brought up in the Super Chat stream. This is where they made points against the show after watching the full series, made the point that Hank and Brent were bad people. But my counter to that is, yeah, that's like kind of the point. Not every character is going to be as pure as Superman. We're living in a time where there are more anti-heroes than ever before, and while I understand that doing something for their own benefit, even if it hurts others, can be hard to understand at first, it leads to a lot of great character teams. So every time I hear them go on about, they're bad people, I can't help but shoot myself. As long as the character has scenes that humanizes them, it's okay. And the other way is if the story punishes them, which the show, does both. And not Vader and not Bro say that the show doesn't do either. Excuse me, what show are you watching? Mark frequently calls them out on their bullshit every time they do something, and in every episodic episode they do even slightly wrong, it's brought up in a negative light more than once. They also take out of context clips to make a point to the character. Wait a second, this sounds oddly familiar. Oh, wait a second, they did this to DMC Devil May Cry, Dante. Oh yeah, Splinter brought DMC Devil May Cry into this. Shit's going down for real. I know I defend this game to death, with good reason, but this is something I can relate to with Southpaw. Taking a character that understanding their flaws and seeing them grow as a person speaks to me, and I'm sure it did to Southpaw as well, but to see them get stomped on by people who take out of context clips is so frustrating. So this is what the surface of EFAP's bad points they made against the show. But for the sake of time, we won't go over all of them. Man, if only there was a video that did that. With great editing and writing, a long runtime that will make me come. Oh! Part 3. Southpaw's video kinda turned me. Now, of course, let's talk about the video itself. I like to judge the video in 3 ways. Script, editing, and capture. The script is pretty good in this video. Southpaw, much like SK, is straight to the point. Every now and again you'll get a gag, but for the most part, Southpaw will play a clip of EFAP and then respond. The video is a bit repetitive, but Southpaw spices it up every now and again by being very in-depth with each criticism. Rarely do you get an EFAP section back to back. I think that Southpaw executes exactly what he needs to. He gives proper context and then clearly lays out his arguments. It's rare that he doesn't expand upon something important. Having said this, writing style takes up quite a lot of time, so this video is not long because of the pure script, but rather showing the hypocrisy of EFAP, which is why the video is so long. The one thing I disagree with this video is the hypocritical, whatever, you get what I mean. If said person makes a different argument, even if the situation is the same, then sure, I guess it's a problem, but if it's in its own series, I think that different stories, gameplay, whatever the context may be around it, is probably going to be different. And then we have his capture. No errors when he's talking, no lack of audio quality or slurring of words. Southpaw doesn't tend to use his range in his voice. He very rarely will shout, but when he does, it's usually for humor, and that's executed well enough. Now, the ending style is classic for this type of content. Use clips from movies and TVs that fit your tone and reaction. In fact, Southpaw loves to use reaction clips, sometimes to the point where it does get a bit tiresome over 6 hours. But this is to be expected. A lot of this style was connected to Mr. Muller. This style has become almost completely used in this community, so it's not a shock that it's in this video as well. I wish he did some more unique ending, but by no means bad. So that's the end of this video. Right, guys? Why does the timestamp say that there's a section after this and that isn't the conclusion? Oh, don't tell me. Part 4. No, Southpaw, no. Sorry guys, if you may hear some audio in the background, that's because my dad is watching Ahsoka right now. And I'm obviously not watching it for obvious reasons. Now, just like the rest of this video, I'm not going into hardcore details. If you want to hear real details, there's a document linked in the description that you can check out for yourself. It comes with screenshots and commentary from Jeb and SK. This all started when SK made a video defending Spider-Man 1. It was specifically about Spider-Man's secret identity. But this all started because of Southpaw made a response to it. Sheev acted unhinged after watching this video, but then Southpaw was okay with Sheev sending it to EFAP to cover. Now, just so we're clear, they don't like EFAP either, but they wanted to send it to them just so they can embarrass SK.
Should I DM Rags and, send him a link to this video and just beg him to cover it on EFAP? Because I have DM'd him once or twice, so, that would be, you'd get the notification.
I mean, I guess the thing there is, I wouldn't DM him and be beg him to do it. I just, DM him and be this is something you might be interested in, just FYI.
You could at least cover it on Dog Bites. I would just be so entertained if anyone over at EFAP covered this.
Because here's the thing, I'm not in the habit of feeding people to EFAP, because EFAP is a fucking abysmal gargantuan shit show of a podcast. But man, based on my history with SK and based on the absolute abysmal crap that is this video, I think if any two parties deserved each other, it's SK and EFAP.
Okay, I'm sending the link to this video over to Rags.
I don't know if it was after this or before this, but SK and Southpaw then had a VC about this whole event. Southpaw talked down to SK multiple times, which led to SK lasting out. SK would later apologize for this, but this didn't stop Southpaw from going down this train. I don't know why Southpaw is doing this, because SK is the one that made a 3-hour video solely defending Southpaw. So Southpaw throwing him to the side so quickly is just so bizarre to me. And if I get some of this information wrong, I'm not looking for 100% accuracy, I'm telling you what I see from an outside perspective. I know it shouldn't be a meme, and this whole situation is not funny, but I want to read this one quote from Sheev. "You fucking prick. You disingenuous piece of shit. You really are something else. You know that. I cannot fucking believe you would post something like this. What's wrong with you? Grow the fuck up, SK. You are not the victim in this situation. You betrayed someone who has confined in you for years and considered you a friend. Go fuck yourself. The gloves are off now." So that's it. This is how the community splits. I've seen that most people defend SK, but this whole thing is so weird. Southpaw was on a good path, and he had built up a lot of goodwill from SK's community, only to throw it away. This whole situation makes me, I don't know, feel bad for SK. Losing a friend over this is crazy. Over one video, it's just really sad. I love Southpaw, and in some ways I still do, but it saddens me to see a guy that I loved for so long only to have this happen. So I want to look at this from a very critical view, to see what we have learned and how to... Oh shit, pizza rolls already. Sorry guys, but pizza rolls take responsibility. This has been Splinter333, and I see your PP.